The 2024-25 Champions League season is finally back again, and in today's video, I'm going to be giving you guys my predictions for the first match day in the league phase. Obviously, now there is the new Champions League format where all the teams will be playing in the league phase for the first 8 matches, and then obviously they will be moving on to the knockout stages. I'll be making a prediction video for each of the match days in the league phase and throughout the rest of the Champions League season. So if you guys do enjoy this video, remember to leave a like and leave a comment down below. But without further ado, let's get right into this video. The first game we got on Tuesday is Juventus against PSV Eindhoven. This game is going to be a very close game. In my opinion, PSV are a very underrated team, and for the last 2 seasons, they finished first place in the Eredivisie. In my opinion, PSV have some very underrated forwards. Players like Luuk de Jong, Lozano, Bakayoko, Ricardo Pepi, and some other amazing players. But I do think that Juventus will be able to win this game. Obviously, last season, Juve didn't play in the Champions League, but this summer, they made some incredible signings. They obviously have Thiago Motta as their new manager, and in this game, I do think they will win 3-1. Moving on to the next game, we have Young Boys against Aston Villa. In recent years, we have seen Young Boys play incredibly against some very well-known teams. But Aston Villa are obviously one of the better teams in the Premier League. Last season, they did finish in the top 4 and they did make the Champions League spots. And in my opinion, even though they are playing away, I do still think they will just edge it in this game. I do think Young Boys will score, but I think Aston Villa will score too, and Aston Villa will win this game 2-1. Moving on to the next game, now this is going to be a real thriller. AC Milan against Liverpool. Obviously, everyone knows about the famous 2005 AC Milan versus Liverpool, where Liverpool did end up coming back and beating one of the best AC Milan teams that we've ever seen. But obviously, this is a new generation, a new AC Milan, a new Liverpool. But in my opinion, Liverpool will do it again. AC Milan are a good team, and they did make some great signings this summer. But I just think Liverpool have a more stacked lineup, they have a better bench, and obviously with their new manager Arne Slot, who I thought would struggle a little bit, he's been proving to everyone that he is the right manager for this job. And I do think Liverpool, even though they are playing away, will just edge it in this game, and I think they will win 1-0 against AC Milan. The next game we got is Bayern Munich against Dinamo Zagreb, and I think this is probably one of the easier matchup in this first match day. Bayern Munich, in my opinion, are one of the best teams in the world. And yes, last season they didn't have the best season. They finished 3rd place in the Bundesliga, but this summer transfer window, they made some incredible signings. They signed Palhinha, they also signed Michael Olise from Crystal Palace, 2 players that have proven themselves in the Premier League, and I think they will be great for Bayern Munich. Obviously, they also have Vincent Kompany as their manager. And Dinamo Zagreb, yes, they are a good team. We do see them upset some big teams in recent years. But Bayern Munich, in my opinion, will pretty easily win this game at home 3-0. Moving on to the next game, we have Real Madrid against Stuttgart. Stuttgart had an incredible season last year in the Bundesliga, where they ended up finishing in 2nd place, which is crazy because the year before that, they were in a relegation race. They ended up finishing ahead of Bayern Munich last season, and they were very close to Bayer Leverkusen. Real Madrid obviously are one of the best teams, if not the best team in the world. They won the Champions League last season against Borussia Dortmund. They have some incredible players. They just recently signed the best striker in the world, and they're playing at home. I think this will be another 3-0 victory. Moving on to the next game, we have Sporting against Lille. This will be a very close game. I think both of these teams are very good teams and pretty underrated teams as well. Sporting are currently 1st place in the Portuguese league, and they have started off this season very well with 4 wins from 4 games. When on the other hand, Lille have also started the season pretty well, but they have struggled in a couple fixtures. And for that reason, with the home advantage, I do think Sporting will win this game 2-1. Moving on to the Wednesday fixtures, the first game we have is Bologna against Shakhtar Donetsk. Bologna had an incredible season last year in the Serie A, where they finished in the top 5. And this is very rare for a team like Bologna, who usually finish between 7th and mid-table. But obviously they had some incredible players. They had Thiago Motta as their manager, and they were absolutely phenomenal. But this season, they lost Thiago Motta, they lost a few of their star players like Riccardo Calafiori, and they have obviously replaced these players. They replaced their manager with Vincenzo Italiano, who is also a great manager. But in my opinion, they don't look the same this season. Shakhtar Donetsk are always one of those teams in the Champions League where you always underrate them, but they can always end up pulling off with some incredible results. And even though I would say Bologna are the favorites in this game, I think this game will end in a 1-1 draw. Moving on to the next game, we have Sparta Prague against Salzburg. Sparta Prague are always one of the best teams in the Czech Republic, and when they do play in these UEFA competitions, they're always a decent team. But Salzburg are one of those teams where, similar to Shakhtar Donetsk, they can pull off with some incredible results. We've seen them beat some of the best teams in the world, which has really shocked everyone. Yes, Sparta Prague are playing at home, but in my opinion, I'm gonna go for a 2-1 win for Salzburg. The next game we got is Celtic against Slovan Bratislava. Slovan Bratislava is a team from Slovakia who usually don't play in the Champions League, but obviously with this new league phase, we are seeing much more teams playing in the Champions League and much more teams which usually would be playing in Europa League or even in the Conference League. And Slovan Bratislava is one of these teams where they're very underrated. I don't know much about them, but I do know a lot about Celtic and that they are a fantastic team. They have a lot of history in these UEFA competitions, and playing at home, I think they will pretty comfortably win this game 3-0. The next game we got is Club Brugge against Dortmund. Dortmund have made some very good transfers this summer. In my opinion, a few underrated signings. And Club Brugge is obviously a team from Belgium. They are a good team. They're usually in these UEFA competitions. And playing at home, I actually think they could possibly upset Dortmund in this game. Dortmund are definitely the favorites in this game, but in my opinion, I think Club Brugge might actually upset Dortmund, and I think they're going to win 1-0. Moving on to the next game, this is another banger of a game. We have Manchester City against Inter Milan. This is a repeat of the 2023 Champions League final where Man City did end up beating Inter Milan 1-0. And in this game, I think Inter actually have a good chance. I think they made some great signings this summer, some very underrated signings. They got a lot of great players on free transfers. We've seen players like Zielinski, Mehdi Taremi, and some other fantastic players join the club. And Manchester City, on the other hand, haven't really made too many good signings. They obviously did sign Savinho. They lost Julian Alvarez. So I think this game will be very, very close. Obviously, Manchester City do have the home advantage, which in my opinion is a big advantage. And for that reason, I do think Manchester City will win this game. But I think Inter will make it a very entertaining game. I'm going to say 3-2 to Manchester City. The next game we got is PSG against Girona. Last season, Girona had an absolutely incredible season where they ended up finishing in 3rd place, which is an incredible finish for a fairly mid-table team like Girona. And PSG, on the other hand, obviously did finish 1st place in the Liga. But this year, we see a very different PSG to what we've seen in recent years, where they no longer have Mbappe, Messi, Neymar, and some of their other older veterans, but they have a lot of new players, a lot of young players. They have a new manager, but with the home advantage, they will definitely win this game. I'm gonna predict a 3-1 win for PSG. Moving on to the next game, we have Feyenoord against Bayer Leverkusen. This is going to be, in my opinion, another close match because Bayer Leverkusen, yes, they are a fantastic team, but this season we've already seen them lose a couple games. And Feyenoord are one of the best teams in the Eredivisie. Feyenoord have the home advantage, and you already know when you're traveling to a stadium like Feyenoord, who in my opinion have one of the most passionate fans in the world, I think this will be very, very tough for Bayer Leverkusen. But obviously, Xabi Alonso is a great manager. They have a fantastic team. And even though they have been struggling in recent games, they still are one of the best teams in the world. And for that reason, I do think they will be able to beat Feyenoord 2-1. The next game we got is Red Star Belgrade against Benfica. Red Star are usually a team that we see in the Champions League, but they never really make it far out of the group stages. Benfica, on the other hand, are also a very common team that we see in the Champions League, but they are always a very underrated team, and we've seen Benfica in recent years beat some of the best teams in the world. And yes, they are playing away in this game, but I think they will pretty comfortably win. I'm going to predict a 3-1 victory. The next game we got is another absolutely fantastic matchup, which is Atalanta against Arsenal. Last season, Atalanta played absolutely incredibly in the Serie A, where they ended up finishing in the top 5, and they also ended up beating Bayer Leverkusen to win the Europa League title. We also seen them beat teams like Liverpool and a few other incredible teams last season. Arsenal also had a very good season last year, but in my opinion, there were certain times in the Champions League, especially in their games against Porto, where they didn't look that convincing. And yes, Arsenal are a team that do very good in the Premier League, but in recent years, especially in the Champions League, in my opinion, they haven't been performing up to standard. With Atalanta's home advantage and with their incredible manager and their incredible playing style from Gasperini, I think they are actually going to beat Arsenal in this game, and I think the score will be 2-1. The next game we got is Atletico Madrid against RB Leipzig. RB Leipzig are a very good team, and in recent years, we have really seen them build up their squad and they have been steadily improving. But in my opinion, Atletico Madrid have had one of the best transfer windows this summer, where we've seen them sign some incredible players like Conor Gallagher, Julian Alvarez, Alexander Sorloth, Robin Lenormand, and some other incredible players. And I think they have really strengthened their team with this summer transfer window. And for that reason, with the home advantage, I do think Atletico Madrid will beat RB Leipzig 2-1. The next game we got is Brest against Sturm Graz. This is a very unpredictable game where Sturm Graz have been in these UEFA competitions for many years, but Brest on the other hand had a surprisingly good season last year in the Ligue 1, where they ended up finishing in the Champions League spots. Brest do have the home advantage, and with the incredible season they had last year, I do think they will be able to carry that momentum on into this season. But Sturm Graz are a good team, and I think this game will end in a 1-1 draw. And finally, the last game we have for the first match day in the league phase is Monaco against Barcelona. Monaco are a very good team in my opinion, and this season they have started off pretty good in the Ligue 1. But Barcelona have had one of the most incredible starts to a season that I've seen in recent years. Currently sitting first place in the La Liga table, they have been scoring loads and loads of goals in recent games. And I thought that they were going to struggle a little bit because obviously they have a new manager. They haven't made too many incredible signings, but clearly I've been wrong because they have started off the season incredibly hot. And in this game, even though they are playing away against Monaco, I think they will definitely get the win. And I think Barcelona will win 3-0. And that is the end of my predictions for the first match day in the Champions League 2024-25 league phase. If you guys agree with my predictions, remember to leave a comment down below. But obviously, if you disagree with my predictions and you think there might be a few upsets here and there, remember to leave your score predictions in the comments down below, and I'll be sure to reply to every single comment. If you guys are excited to see my Champions League predictions for the second match day, remember to leave a like on this video. And obviously, if you did enjoy this video, remember to leave a like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, and stay tuned for more videos.